Imagine this. In the dark, echoing cellar of Kronborg Castle, beneath the stone walls immortalized by Shakespeare and Hamlet, lies a warrior who never died. His beard has grown long, his sword rests by his side, and his eyes remain closed, waiting. This is Holger Danske, the Viking warrior, the legendary knight, the eternal guardian of Denmark. According to legend, Holger does not rest in peace, but in patience. He sleeps, ready to rise again when his country faces its darkest hour, when Denmark needs him most. Some say he is only a myth, a story told to give hope in desperate times. Others believe he was real, a hero whose legacy was too great to be forgotten by death. But who was Holger Danske? Where did his legend begin? And why has his story endured for centuries, crossing from Viking sagas into medieval French poetry, and even shaping the Danish fight against oppression in the 20th century? Today, we unravel the mystery of the sleeping hero, Holger Danske, the Viking warrior who never died. Wifi. Who was Holger Danske? Wifi. Holger Danske, also known as Ogier the Dane, is one of the most fascinating figures in European legend. His story straddles the line between myth and history, blending Viking heroism with medieval chivalric romance. In Danish tradition, Holger is remembered as a mighty warrior, a symbol of national strength and resilience. But his legend did not remain confined to Denmark. He appears in French medieval epics, particularly the Chanson de Roland, where he is cast not as a Viking raider, but as a Christian knight fighting alongside Charlemagne against the Saracens. This curious transformation shows how fluid legends could be in the Middle Ages, shaped by culture, politics, and the need for heroic archetypes. According to the sagas, Holger was born with a destiny. A prophecy foretold that he would become one of the most fearless warriors ever to live, one who could never be vanquished. His youth is described with hints of the supernatural, strength beyond his years and courage that seemed unshakable. Some stories even suggest that magical forces guided his path, linking him to the same mythic traditions that inspired Viking sagas and Celtic hero tales. Yet Holger Danske is more than just another warrior of legend. He represents an idea, the eternal protector, the hero who cannot die because his nation's survival depends on him. And that is why his story, unlike many forgotten Viking tales, has lived on for centuries. 1.5. The Prophecy and Early Legends of Holger Danske. About 1.5. Every great hero and legend begins with a prophecy, and Holger Danske was no exception. From the moment of his birth, it was said that his life would be extraordinary. Ancient tales whispered that Holger was destined to become one of the most fearless warriors ever known, a man who could never truly be defeated. In some versions of the story, mysterious omens surrounded his infancy. Dreams of fire and steel, visions of foreign lands, and signs that pointed toward a destiny far beyond Denmark's borders. His very name, Ogier or Holger, came to symbolize strength, resilience, and divine favor. As a youth, Holger quickly distinguished himself through acts of bravery. He trained as a warrior, mastering the sword and shield with a skill that seemed almost otherworldly. Some legends even suggest that he possessed magical protection, a gift from supernatural beings who foresaw his role in defending not just Denmark, but all of Christendom. But the earliest accounts of Holger do not come from Denmark alone. In the Chanson de Roland, a French epic poem written during the 11th century, Holger, there known as Ogier, is cast as one of Charlemagne's knights. He fought valiantly against the Saracens at the legendary Battle of Roncesvalles in 778, where Roland, Charlemagne's nephew, met his tragic fate. How did a Danish hero find himself in the heart of French epic poetry? Some scholars suggest that Viking mercenaries who once fought in the Frankish kingdoms brought their tales with them, and, over time, Holger was woven into Charlemagne's cycle of legends. Others believe his figure was reshaped intentionally, merging Nordic ferocity with Christian knighthood to create the perfect warrior of both worlds. What is clear, however, is that from the very beginning, Holger Danske was never just a local hero. His legend was shared, adapted, and transformed, making him one of the rare Viking figures to transcend borders and faiths, becoming a pan-European icon of courage. The Wifi, Holger Danske in the Age of Charlemagne, and the Wifi, Holger Danske's legend took root in one of Europe's most turbulent eras, the reign of Charlemagne, king of the Franks and later emperor of the Romans. Charlemagne sought to expand his empire, uniting much of Western Europe under one crown. His campaigns against the Saxons, Lombards, and Saracens shaped medieval Christendom, and it is within this backdrop that Holger appears. In the Chanson de Roland and other French chansons de geste, Holger is depicted as one of Charlemagne's greatest champions. Known as Ogier the Dane in these stories, he's not simply a warrior from the north, but a knight molded into the ideals of chivalry. With sword in hand, he defended Christendom from its enemies, standing shoulder to shoulder with legendary figures like Roland and Oliver. One of Holger's defining moments in these tales is his vengeance for the death of his son at the hands of Charlemagne's men. The story tells us that Ogier was once an enemy of the emperor, driven by rage and sorrow. Yet, over time, he was reconciled with Charlemagne, becoming not just an ally but one of his most loyal knights. This duality, from rebel to protector, reveals much about Holger's complexity as a legendary figure. He was both Viking and Christian knight, both outsider and insider. Another fascinating detail is his sword, often named Cortana in the legends, a blade so sharp and powerful it was said to be unbreakable. According to some traditions, Cortana later became one of the coronation swords of English monarchs, preserved as a symbol of justice and royal authority. If true, Holger's legacy lived not only in stories but also in the ceremonial traditions of European kingship. By weaving Holger into the tapestry of Charlemagne's court, medieval poets achieved something remarkable. They bridged two worlds: the raw, untamed power of the Viking North and the ordered, Christianized knighthood of the Frankish Empire. Holger thus became a cultural hybrid, feared as a Viking, admired as a knight, and immortalized as a hero who belonged to both traditions. For 1.5, the transformation of Holger Danske in legend and folklore. Bar 1.5. As centuries passed, Holger Danske's image continued to evolve. He was no longer just the fierce Viking warrior or Charlemagne's knight. He became a timeless symbol, reshaped by storytellers, poets, and national memory. In Danish folklore, Holger was reimagined as the very spirit of the nation. No longer bound to the Frankish court, he returned to Denmark in the minds of his people, embodying their hopes, resilience, and identity. Over time, the legend of his immortality began to take shape. Holger Danske was not dead, but only sleeping, waiting for the moment when his homeland would need him most. This transformation reflected more than just myth-making. In the Middle Ages, Denmark, like much of Europe, faced invasions, wars, and internal struggles. A figure like Holger, who could never truly be vanquished, offered comfort and inspiration. He became a promise that no matter how dark the times, Denmark had a protector in reserve. Interestingly, Holger's legend was not confined to Denmark. In France, he remained Ogier the Dane, remembered in epic poems as one of the greatest paladins of Charlemagne. In Italy, and even in England, fragments of his story surfaced, linking him with broader European heroic traditions. Each culture reshaped him slightly, but the essence remained: a warrior of unparalleled courage, destined to endure. By the Renaissance, Holger's story was firmly entrenched in Danish national identity. He was no longer just a character in imported Chanson de Geste. He was their hero, the embodiment of Denmark's spirit. This version of Holger is the one that survives most vividly today, the eternal guardian sleeping beneath Kronborg Castle, ready to rise when his people call. Vifi, the legend of the sleeping hero at Kronborg Castle. Kronborg Castle at Elsinore is one of Denmark's most iconic landmarks. Immortalized by Shakespeare as the setting of Hamlet, it is also home to another legend, that of Holger Danske, the sleeping hero. According to Danish folklore, deep within the dark cellars of Kronborg, Holger Danske rests in an eternal slumber. He sits at a stone table, his great beard grown long, flowing down across the ground, his massive sword lying within reach. Though he appears lifeless, his chest still rises and falls, faintly breathing. The prophecy says, when Denmark is in mortal danger, Holger will awaken. He will rise from his slumber, take up his sword once more and defend the land with unmatched strength and courage. Until that day, he waits, silent, patient, and vigilant beneath the castle's foundations. This myth of the sleeping hero is not unique to Denmark. In many cultures, great warriors are said not to die, but to rest until their people need them again. King Arthur of Britain is said to sleep on the Isle of Avalon, ready to return in his nation's darkest hour. Barbarossa, the Holy Roman Emperor, is said to slumber in the Kyffhauser Mountains. Holger Danske is Denmark's own version of this eternal guardian. For the Danish people, especially during times of hardship or war, this legend has been a source of immense hope. Holger's presence beneath Kronborg Castle is a reminder that the spirit of Denmark can never truly be defeated, that their protector is always near, waiting to rise when the nation calls. Wifi, symbol of national resistance and modern legacy. As centuries passed, Holger Danske's legend transformed from a medieval tale into a powerful symbol of Danish identity. Whenever Denmark faced threats from foreign powers, the story of the sleeping warrior returned with renewed force. During the 19th century, as nationalism swept across Europe, Holger Danske became more than just folklore. He was embraced as a living emblem of the Danish spirit, representing unity, resilience, and pride in a shared heritage. Paintings, poems, and sculptures depicted him as the eternal defender of the nation, ready to rise against any invader. But perhaps the most remarkable revival of Holger Danske came during World War II. When Nazi Germany occupied Denmark, a Danish resistance group named themselves Holger Danske. They carried out sabotage missions, spread underground publications, and fought to weaken the occupiers. To them, Holger was not just a legend. He was a symbol of courage and defiance against overwhelming odds. Even today, Holger Danske remains deeply ingrained in Danish culture. At Kronborg Castle, visitors can see a statue of the sleeping warrior in the cellars, reminding them of the myth that shaped generations. Beyond Denmark, he is celebrated in literature, art, and music as a hero who embodies timeless values of loyalty, bravery, and national pride. Holger Danske's legacy proves that legends are not just stories. They are living forces, capable of inspiring entire nations across centuries. 1.5. The legend of Holger Danske is not merely a tale from the distant past. It is a reminder of how myth and history intertwine to shape identity. Whether he was a real Viking warrior, a knight of Charlemagne's court, or a purely mythical figure, Holger's story has transcended time. His eternal sleep beneath Kronborg Castle is more than a dramatic image. It is a metaphor for the resilience of a people. As long as danger threatens Denmark, the legend promises that Holger will awaken to defend his homeland. This prophecy has given generations hope, strength, and unity in times of uncertainty. Holger Danske's myth reveals a universal truth. Every culture creates heroes who embody its deepest values. In Holger, the Danes see loyalty, courage, and unbreakable spirit. In the modern world, his story still resonates. Not because we expect a warrior to rise from the cellar, but because we recognize the power of belief in something greater than ourselves. The sleeping hero lives on, not in the shadows of Kronborg, but in the hearts and imagination of the people he inspires. And perhaps that is the greatest kind of immortality any hero could achieve. And so, the legend of Holger Danske reminds us that heroes never truly die. They live on in our stories, our culture, and our hearts. If you enjoyed uncovering this forgotten tale of the sleeping Viking warrior, don't let the story end here. Join our journey through history's mysteries and legends by subscribing to the channel and turning on notifications. That way, you'll never miss the chance to dive deeper into the past and discover more extraordinary tales. Share your thoughts in the comments. Do you believe Holger Danske will one day awaken to defend Denmark? Or is he a timeless symbol meant to inspire us forever? Until next time, remember, legends may sleep, but they are never forgotten.